Hello, YouTube friends. Um, I had decided not to upload any more videos until I had at least learned to make a proper thumbnail, and um, and then I was watching videos, instructional videos. And, that YouTube is fantastic for that. There are a lot of people who are more than happy to help to share their knowledge and their information, the information that they've gathered over their time of making videos. And there's some really talented and generous people out there. And I was kind of cruising right along, and then I watched a video by Jake Ducey, and he was so real and genuine, and just kind of oozing warmth and excitement and life and vigor. And I was just like, I don't know, I felt it, and I appreciated it very much. And I thought, and I've been thinking about that ever since. And then today I was watching a video from Think Media, and this is a really talented either person or group of people who are, again, generously sharing. And I understand that there's a process and a compensation and whatnot. I understand that. But nevertheless, when you're somebody who has something to share that for me, I'll just speak for myself. I have an experience, several, but I've experienced a transformation through a very simple process that I sort of stumbled into and created quite by accident, that has completely, entirely, 100% changed me from the inside out. And I think it was accidental. I mean, I was very intentional. I was very intentionally reverse engineering my life so that I could ascertain where I had gone wrong, basically, because I had, set out from the time I was about 4 to reverse my family's trend of, circling the drain, going down the drain. I lost both my parents to suicide, and I found myself at 40, 45, depressed and massively depressed. And I had been on antidepressants, quote unquote. I was on the cocktail, I was on 5 different medications for years, and I was still miserable. I was getting more miserable. And the longer I was living like that, the more of a tangle my life became, because we don't make good choices when we're in agony. And I got to the point where I had, pretty much lost everybody that I've ever been close to. And I had a series of shocks, extreme shocks, learning things about my parents after they died that I didn't need to know, and that literally erased the entire canvas of my childhood and my family and my upbringing. And my family was already decimated. If you need any further incentive to not destroy your children and to maybe focus on getting along rather than blowing things up, it's very damaging. It's very damaging to live the way that my parents did. I love them, and it's not a question of forgiving them. I thank them because they gave me the best that they had, and they did the best that they could. I know that. But I know that I have been determined to be more than that for the kids in my life. And I have been since I was 13. And I met my first niece, and that's all I've been doing. I'm 49. I've been raising kids since I was 13. And my youngest son is 15. My oldest son just moved into an apartment. He's an accountant, got a brand new car and a really nice girlfriend, and he's a good guy. They're both good guys. And I did a good job, and I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud of the family unit that I created, with this the family I married into, which is a very complicated story, but, I married into a family very different from mine, very specifically and very deliberately, obviously. And there was some serious culture shock, and the worst part is that I didn't identify it as such. I identified it as I was inadequate, incompetent, wrong, broken, bad. I was finding out 3 years into our relationship that I should have brought a dish or an offering, the first time I ever went for dinner at his family's house, and at that point, like, well, what do I do now? And that just was kind of the way that it went. And yet, they accepted me. My dad committed suicide 4 months after I met my husband, who wasn't my husband at the time. And, then my mom followed 15 years later. He did it quickly. She did it long and drawn out and slow. It was sloppy and messy, and, she fell apart. I kind of fell apart, and then, I separated from my husband because I, wasn't in love with him. And we've kept our family together. We share a house. We've raised these kids, and it's been interesting, and it's been very difficult, and absolutely the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And there's a lot more, which I'm more than happy to share at another time. But I was really compelled and moved to share that the reason I'm determined at 49 to figure this out and to do this and to, make these videos. And even though my kids, I think I'm crazy, but I think that they're probably secretly thrilled because they're probably tired of hearing from me about how, we need to make some changes. We really do, because, I didn't raise all these kids for them to just, to live in a dirty, confusing, chaotic, cruel world, and I didn't prepare them for this world. I think a lot of parents, I'm sure that a lot of parents are probably thinking, wait a minute, I didn't teach, I taught my kids, I tried to teach my kids to know right from wrong. And then, you kind of let them loose on a world that has gone upside down. We're in the upside down. And when I kind of lifted my head from being so focused on raising my children, and I saw state of things, Donald Trump was president. It's not like I didn't know that. I voted, I paid attention, but, I was very focused on making sure that I was paying attention to my kids and their friends and just being available to them. And I'm an artist, and I have a house and a big yard, and I've been, doing dumb shit like this tree. I love my tree though. I didn't, there were, it was just sort of a scrub brush when we bought the house, and I'm building an art studio for art therapy, and I have this idea about doing like community get-togethers outside. See, I'm gonna put up a balcony. You know what I mean? Like one of those pop-up things. Sorry. So, a couple things. The point of this channel and the goal of any videos that I make are to say that I have, at 49, I have come through many of the things that I see people struggling with. I really have. I feel like I've been involved with every kind of person. I've become every kind of person. I know I've been narcissistic. I know I have acted like a borderline crazy psycho bitch, and I now know why, because I did the research and I found out what the hell was my brain doing? Like, what the fuck was I thinking? Pardon my French. Like, seriously, what was I thinking? I was 40 and I kind of lost my mind, went off my rocker. My mom died and I lost my shit. Okay. And I've been in control my whole life. I've been willing this, to go better. My kids aren't going to have the childhood that I had, and they haven't. But I started to see myself slide literally into insanity. And I've come to realize now, through doing a lot of studying and then behavior modification and seeing the results of that manifesting in my life, that basically I had been raised in the upside down. I didn't know how to be in the world. I just didn't know. I knew how to answer the phone and tell the bill collectors my parents weren't home. I knew how to call the police, when my dad beat my mom up. When my brother and sister went into foster care. That was my job, That's what I knew how to do. And I knew how to put my mom back together. I knew how to take her to the hospital when she overdosed. And I knew how to cry. And I knew how to feel sorry for myself. And I knew how to blame other people. And I knew how to fail. I knew how to fail. But just sort of, not like spectacularly. But that's about all I knew. And the thing is, I didn't know myself at all. I didn't even know I didn't know myself. I didn't know I was sleepwalking. I didn't know I was a zombie. And this is what I want to say, is that I think there are a lot of people right now who are being told that they are insensitive pieces of crap. I'm not talking about everybody. Some insensitive pieces of crap. There are assholes. I was an asshole. There are a lot of assholes in the world. I understand that. But at the same time, there are so many beautiful, creative, inventive, brilliant, kind, compassionate people. And when I was watching this video tonight by Think Media, I got done with it and I was going to leave a comment because I was really impressed by the attention to detail. I've had 4 severe concussions in my life. 2 of them were within 3 months of each other. I fell off the back of a U-Haul truck and then hit my head on a bench and knocked myself out. And the reason I tell you that is because it took me a while to realize that I had some serious cognitive impairment as a result. And it took months for me to realize that, because this was 5 or 6 years ago, and it wasn't quite the topic that it is now. And I didn't realize until I broke my own hand, which is a story for another day. But I literally just ran my own hand into an obstacle. I kind of watched myself doing it. It was the craziest thing. And then I kind of put myself on, no more power tools kind of thing. I was like, I didn't know what the hell one day I would be able to file papers, and the next day I would look at the papers like I had like myopia or dyslexia. It was really strange. And I started doing some studying, because that's what I've always done. I've never accepted anything as being broken or beyond repair, or I think that's a gift that the universal consciousness has made sure that I had. I don't know about anybody else, but I just know that that's something that I particularly bring, that I don't ever accept what somebody else says, without vetting it myself, that I don't accept no if it's unacceptable. And I've never accepted, like my youngest son's name is Lincoln, and I don't do hate. I never have. I don't do hate. I don't do intolerance. I don't do bigotry. And it's very shocking to be me and know who I am and feel the way that I feel. And that's all another video, but, I grew up, running around these streets of Seattle, had alcoholic parents, and I had all kinds of friends, and they were my family, and all kinds of boyfriends, I grew up in a neighborhood where I was the only white kid for blocks. I walked to school and I never saw another white kid walk into school, and it was scary and hard. Girls didn't like me, and it was really interesting. But the thing is that it was great. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I'm really grateful, and because I have this profound appreciation for people who haven't shared a similar experience to mine at all. And that's how I've always walked through the life is I've always felt like I could relate to other people. I could listen, and I could ask, and I could, find out, and I could care, and I could feel. And all of a sudden I find myself in a world where I'm the enemy because of the color of my skin. And I'm not whining or complaining. And I know that we have a long way to go and a lot to make up for. And I, for one, am all in on that conversation, 100%. I just want us to find our way to each other. That's all I care about. I just want us to find a way to each other. All of us. All of us. And we need to just wrap our arms around each other, wrap our arms around around Indigenous people and say, I just want to say, please, just forgive the people who bore me. My ancestors, just please forgive me for having been born white, because I'm just a human being, and I will never hurt you, and I will fight for you, and I will fight for your children. I promise. And my youngest son is 15, and I'm done raising kids for the most part. And all I want to do for the rest of my life is hug other people's children, which you can't really say, but it's the truth. I love kids. I just love kids. Kids are fabulous. And, I'm going to start doing this art thing with the kids in my neighborhood, and I can't wait. It's going to be more for me than it is going to be for them. We're going to do some fun stuff. We're going to do shells and paint, finger paint, get dirty, and make bugs out of salvage metal, and it's going to be fun. And that's going to be all that my soul needs every day. But that's what's going to be my fuel to give me the little boost in the arm I need every day to remember that it isn't, what I see online is not representative of the people that I meet in the world. And I hear more and more people saying that all the time. One of my all-time favorite human beings is Jordan Peterson. I'm just going to tell you that man saved my life. I don't care what you think of his politics. He is a man of integrity, and he has got so much heart. And he said things in a way that I heard them all the way to the tips of my toes for the first time ever. When he said, "Don't lie," and explained why, I got it. I was raised in a family where that was like an art form, okay? And I married into a family that didn't understand me and that I didn't understand. And I just kept sidestepping this and trying to, and shame is very hard on all of us, but it's for somebody who is steeped in shame triggers and who I was, and going forward, I'm going to make videos and I'm going to explain very clearly. I guess I've been writing a book, and I kind of have looked like a crazy person a few times because my entire bedroom will just be covered with paper, scraps of paper, and have quotes, and and I've been writing this, for years because I knew that if I was able to, save myself from the depths of my own despair, from the terrible mess that I was making of my life, and I was. Basically at 45, I found myself right back in the white trash hell that I had grown up in. I just did. I don't know how I got there. I really don't. As far as like being connected to the decision to start down that road, I don't have any connection to those moments. But I reverse engineered all those choices, all those outcomes, and I worked my way backwards. I worked my way out of it because it was a very scary situation, very demoralizing, and I stood to lose the love and admiration of my kids and the respect of my kids, and that would have killed me. I raised two very decent, upstanding dudes, and they're not codependent. They don't put up, they're not going to put up with my bullshit. Not that I want them to, but, I wanted them to know that they were sovereign human beings, and they hold me to a higher standard, and so, and I have, a lot of difficulty with interpersonal relating, and I understand why, and I'm working on it, but I wouldn't be getting anywhere if I had not learned about the biology of my brain, basically. And so going forward, I hope I'll be a little smoother, and I got a little light thing and a microphone and stuff. We'll see how that goes, but my brain doesn't make those connections anymore, and I'm working on it, but I appear to have starved the neural pathway that deals in that instant recall thing, reading directions and then applying the directions. I can't do it anymore. And when I try and I get flustered, it can set me back emotionally. And I've been off of my antidepressants for years now. I don't take any medications, and I feel 25 years younger, and I have boundless energy, and I'm excited every day. And I am no longer terrified about the state of the world as I was when I first came out of this kind of sleepwalking zombie fog, because I now can see a way out. I can see a way through. And that's what I want to share, because I believe that there are people who literally do not understand how awful it is for some people. And there are other people who are so steeped in their own misery that they don't care how awful it is for other people. And I believe there's a lot of hypocrisy, and I believe there's a lot of hubris, and there's a lot of talking without listening, and there's a lot of only thinking about right now. And I've done all those things, and when I was only thinking about right now, and when I was acting out of my own pain, I created a hell of a mess that I still can't believe I got out of. I'm still, I'm still cleaning it up, but it's a miracle that I made it out of that in one piece. I really probably should be, homeless or dead, because I just was so miserable. I was trying to burn my life to the ground for a while. And when I finally realized, I've been doing nothing but trying to clean it up since then. And that's the message that I want to leave you with, is that there is a lot worth saving, and in humanity, there's more worth saving. We are worth saving. Dogs still hang out with us. I think that we're not too far beyond the pale. And I honestly believe that if every single one of us were to focus on restoring harmony to our own life, cleaning up our own lives and our own relationships, and I think of it as energy laundering, if we were all to make a concerted effort to convert the negative energy around us into positive, loving energy. I think if enough of us did that, maybe 6 out of 10 of us, maybe even less, I don't know. I believe we could be living in a completely different world in 6 months. And I say that based on the fact that I was living in a completely different world within 6 months when I started doing what I'm proposing. Within 6 months, I no longer felt the same. And everything around me was basically the same, but nothing was the same. And all my relationships were instantly soothed and healed and calm. I don't have any issues with anybody. I couldn't find hate in my body if you paid me $1 million. Not even for people who I thought had done me wrong. But I came through to the other side and looked back, and all I could think to say was thank you so much, because I learned this, and I learned this, and I learned this, and I now understand this, and I now have compassion for this. And I understand when people say forgiveness is crucial and important, and it is, but I don't think it's the final step. And I don't think that it's the key to ending trauma. And we can end trauma, and we must end trauma, and we must heal. We must heal. There are so many broken people, and we walk over them on sidewalks, and we walk past them, and we ignore them. And while we continue to do that, we will continue to suffer, because those are children of the universe, the same as you and me, and we will never rise very far above where the least among us is. I know that to be an absolute fact, and I understand that everybody's got their own particular set of circumstances that can make their life challenging. But I would like to challenge us to use that as fuel and motivation and direction for purpose. Just think what it would look like if each of us said, okay, I'm going to take my pain and turn it into my purpose, and I'm going to work towards becoming the hero that I needed when I was suffering, when I was hurting, when I was being victimized or whatever. And then I think we should just agree to eliminate the word victim. Just eliminate it. Let's just not be victims. I've been a victim, and it sucked. It was terrible. It was the worst feeling. That was the I want to die, was when I was a victim. When I realized that I didn't have to be a victim, and then shortly thereafter, I remembered that I used to be a badass, and I thought, what the hell was I doing? Why was I crying? Now I start to cry? I mean, I cried when my son moved out, of course, but that's different. That was grieving, and it felt really good. I've never grieved like that. It was healthy grieving. There was no shame. There was no, icky. There was, it was true shame. It was true mourning. It was grief, and I still feel it. He just moved out, and but when I start to cry over a situation that's got me, frustrated or hurt or whatever, I hear that voice inside my head, and her name is Shaniqua, and we'll talk about that another time. But it's what my family named her a long time ago. She's a little scary, and she gets after me sometimes. And she said, "What are you doing? Is this it? Are you done? Are you giving up?" This isn't exactly what she sounds like, but I can't tell you exactly what she sounds like until you've gotten to know me a little bit, or you'll run me out of town on a rail. Because I believe that we all have several dimensions. We have aspects to our person. We have different personalities, basically, archetypes, or however you want to look at it. I've chosen to embrace my wounded self and my dark self, because she's in there, and my inner bitch, and my inner Pollyanna, because I'm a huge Pollyanna, and I make stupid voices when I see babies and dogs, and then I occasionally want to say, have you lost your entire mind? and those people live in the same body. I melt and then I want to just snatch somebody bald headed because they're being rude or disrespectful. There's a lot of rude and disrespectful going on, and I understand why. I really do, because honestly, the way I've always looked at it is if somebody's disrespecting me, I have to look at myself. What have I done to give them the thought to make them think that they could treat me that way? Especially for my kids. If I get some attitude from one of my kids, I check myself. I look at myself, because that's not the kind of relationship we have. If I get that from them, it's a sign that we're out of balance, and I look at myself. And when I don't get along with somebody and it's not going the way that I want it to go, or a conversation went badly, I reverse engineer it and I trace it back to the source and I find my part in it. And then I address that behavior and I find that trigger, and I have eliminated trigger after trigger after trigger. And I'm telling you, it's the most liberating feeling on the face of the planet. And within a couple of months, you don't feel like the same person. And if everybody felt the way that I feel, or if enough of us felt the way that I feel, you wouldn't be able to get anything past us. And you wouldn't be able to tyrannize anybody. You just wouldn't, because we wouldn't stand for it. That's what I know about human beings. We're flawed, okay? But we are also striving, and we are also beautiful, and we are also precious. And we've come a long way. We really have. And I think that we could take a deep breath and put down all the animosity and the hate and just focus on, where do we go from here? Not from right here, not from where the world is here, okay, but from where the so-called crazy people are. Like, I know that people think I'm crazy because I say, oh yeah, we can fix this, we can turn this around. People aren't, it's not broken. We're not, it's really, really, really broken, but what I'm saying is people are not broken. All of our systems are broken, and we'll fix them. We'll fix them all, one at a time, from the bottom up, not from the top down. That's the thing that we keep looking to our institutions to change, and that's not going to happen. They have no incentive whatsoever to change, and they have no incentive whatsoever to do right by us. They're just not going to do it. We have to. We have to become, just listen to the Redemption Song by Bob Marley. I love all the versions that I've ever heard. The one I just heard recently was the band Playing for Change, which if you haven't heard them, you should. They make all the hair on my whole entire body stand up. They make me cry. There's a Skin Deep. It's Buddy Guy. There are just some incredible songs in there. And, and I'm a sucker for them. When I need to get moving, when I'm in a good mood, but I want to feel even better, I play one of those songs, or, I play Tracy Chapman is my favorite, and J.J. Greyer. Oh my God, I just discovered the Black Pumas and Teskey Brothers, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. And I'm not going to, because music is my religion. But this is the thing. Just spend some time with some humans who look like you, who don't look like you, whatever. Virtually, in reality, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just spend some time paying attention to some humans. And remember the way you used to feel about humans when you were, when it was summer and you we're outside playing, or, with kids and whatever. I can remember that now, because I've cleared up a lot of the detritus that was cocooning me, basically wrapping me like in gauze. I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, I couldn't think, I couldn't relate. And I'm a very kind person. I have a really big heart, too big of a heart sometimes. And I couldn't care. I didn't care about myself. And what I didn't realize until just recently is there was no way I was ever going to do right by myself or anybody when I hated myself. And I hated myself because I had been taught to lie to myself and say yes when I meant no, and to go along to get along and keep the peace. And I don't do that anymore. I'm respectful and I'm kind, but I don't do that anymore. And I listen to my body. And if my body is, I let my body tell me if this is right or that is right or the other thing is right. I'm not in a romantic relationship. I don't plan to be in one. I move my body all day, every day. And I've gotten into this habit, which I'm going to put this at the very end, because that's the way that I am. This is the most important thing that I've done. No doubt. This is a synthesis. For me, this was a connecting every dot thing. I got a pair of Beats noise-canceling headphones because, again, I live with my estranged husband, and, he occasionally thinks that he should be heard, or he should talk, or he likes to know things and doesn't go away and doesn't, and so I put my headphones on and I started listening to, well, just, there's a big long list, and one of these days I'm going to sit down with my YouTube thing and go through it. But I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of people telling me, first of all, telling me what was wrong with that asshole, why he was acting like that. And then boom, I'd run into somebody who'd say, no, it's not him, it's you. And then I went, oh, wow, you know what? You're right. It is you. And then when I got started doing that, I just gained momentum. And before I knew it, I was literally just running, and I discovered Esther Hicks and Wayne Dyer. And I remember Wayne Dyer from when I was a kid. My parents loved him, but I don't think they ever really applied very much that he said. But anyway, like I said, the list is as long as my arm, longer than my arm. Like, I don't know why we even say that. That's actually kind of a dumb expression. I don't even have a long arm, but I have a very long list of generous, compassionate human beings who have shared what they have learned. And first person on YouTube who basically told me that I could change my brain was Tom Bilyeu. And I will give a shout out to every single person who were absolutely instrumental in saving me, helping me save myself. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for those people saying, and Joe Dispenza and Gabor Mate and Jordan Peterson, and literally there are Brene Brown. There are a lot of people out there who have the answers and who know how to put them together. And what I came to realize when I had my headphones on, I was cleaning. I was cleaning my yard. I was cleaning my outbuildings because like I said, I had let it get kind of out of control. Well, very out of control. I'm a bleeding heart, and I have an outbuilding, and I would let people live there, and they'd trash it, and so I've been, fixing things, fixing walls and my yard, and I started picking up trash around the neighborhood, and basically I just had my headphones on all the time, and I was just listening to either, music that moved me or a message that came to me that I could see that, because it just kind of reaches out and grabs me, that I could tell that I needed to learn this. And like I said, learning about my own behavior, my own brain, the trauma that I survived in childhood, that it created a person, it created a mindset, and it created wiring in my head. And I wasn't okay with that, but I didn't even know what it was. So, I was a slave to it. And that's an awful feeling. And I was not rising above it with the grace that we've seen. And from other people who have risen above their shackles, I was not rising above my difficulties with that kind of grace. And I was ashamed of myself. I expect more of myself. And Shanique was in my head going, well, you have lost your fucking mind. You need to turn this shit around. I mean, what the hell? I was in a relationship where I was not being treated well, and I was allowing myself to be treated like I was foolish. And I was 100% trauma bonded, and I hated that. And I worked my way out of that. That was excruciating, and I worked my way out of it. And you can too. I'm telling you, it's really difficult, but it's possible, and it is necessary, because a toxic relationship will take you down faster than anything. And what I've come to realize through all of those hours with my headphones on and moving my body while I was synchronizing my realities, my inner realities, my heart, my mind, my body, my actions, my words, it started to just stack and multiply and took on this just exponential speed inside of me, where I just suddenly felt like this is everything that I should have known before I ever made any life choices. But of course, it's not what happens. And we can't go back and change it. And I wouldn't go back and change anything, because I adore my kids, and I wouldn't do anything to threaten a hair on their head, so that is what it is. But going forward, we need to stop traumatizing our children. We need to get back on a human path. We're not on a human path. I don't know what kind of path we're on, but we're not on a human path. And it's bad, and it's getting worse, and it's going to go to a very dark place. I know, because I've been there. I was raised there. I returned there. We don't want to go there. I promise you, it's a very dark place. That's what our movies are trying to tell us. It's not a good place. There are bad people there. There are people who have given up their humanity because they're just done. They're tired. They're whatever, and they will take from you, and they will, it's a very bad place, and nobody really cares about anybody there. And I don't want to live there. And I don't think you do either. And I know for an absolute fact there are enough good people in the world. And when I was reading through those comments on that Think Media video, I just saw like 20 of them, just bam, 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 bam. And I just immediately started making this video because, there is more that can bring us together than that divides us. And we will see that we'll see that love when we start to love ourselves. And the only way to love ourselves is to, stop fucking up, stop doing things that are harmful and that are hurtful and that are antisocial. Because on the deepest level, when you're doing wrong, and you don't forgive yourself. You don't forget. And that's why we abuse ourselves. That's why we self-destruct. But the adverse is also true. And when you get that and you start to turn that around and make different choices, for me at least, there's literally no feeling. There's no word that describes how much better it feels, is all I can say. Nothing feels impossible. And like I said, I used to have a serious problem with depression because my life sucked. That's why, not because my biology sucked, my brain sucked, because my life sucked. I had not set my life up to be in alignment with who I am. And we need to figure this out in ourselves so that we can teach our children so that before they make these life choices, they know who they are. Or we're going down in flames. There's no other way around it. We can't keep damaging people and think that we'll continue to go forward as a species. It just won't happen. And the planet's not going to tolerate it. And it shouldn't. We should get our asses kicked off if we don't knock off our crap. So that's it. I'm done. I'm going to get off my soapbox, and it's getting dark, and guys are racing down on Marginal, and it's going to get loud, and I'm going to put on a jacket and do some work. But I love you, every single one of you. And I want to join you and sing and dance and be merry. And, we don't have to hang out with anybody we don't like, but there are a whole lot of people we do like. We need to figure out how to get our sovereignty back. And this is the way, I'm telling you, is if we heal and we come together, there will be no stopping us. You will not be able to tell us to do something that we know is wrong. We won't. Because the way that we end up other people's bitch is by lying to ourselves and saying yes when we mean no. So let's just stop doing that. Let's just agree. Let's just put down the hate. Pick up our lives. Dust them off. Clean them up. Own them. Own our outcomes. I own my outcomes. And when I own my outcomes, guess what? Nobody can hurt me. And anybody who ever did hurt me didn't hurt me. What they did was they gave me an opportunity. And if I take that opportunity and turn it into gold, then I can thank them. And then guess what? No more trauma. No need for forgiveness. No need for victims. No need for bad guys. No need for hate. No need for Fox Television. No need for Donald Trump. Okay? I'm telling you. We can do this. We can do this. We can. I know we can. As above, so below. If I can resurrect myself from the ashes of my life, and I know that some of that strength was not my own, and I'm going to give that strength back and forward and give it as much as I possibly can, because I know that there was strength that was lent to me, and there is a lot of strength there, and there's a lot of will to live, and I hope you'll join me. Thanks.